Hello, and welcome to our weekly digital strategy chat brought to you by Denver Data Web. We're a digital strategy company, so we help our clients overcome their unique challenges with a goals-focused approach to web development, web design, and digital marketing. My name is David Zonka. I'm a digital strategist here at Denver Data Web, and with me today we have some of the team. So we're going to introduce ourselves. First, we have Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Joswiak. I'm the digital marketing analyst at Denver Data Web.
And also Tom.
Hello, Tom DeGurlia, president with Denver Data Web.
Thank you both, and thank you everybody that joins us today. Please feel free to add any kind of comments, questions you may have, chime in there. We love that, and join into the conversation. We have a fun topic today. We're going to be discussing keyword research tools. So we got 5 or so tools that we like to use to help us build websites, analyze digital marketing, SEO, optimize those programs for success. And what we're going to do is we're all going to take turns, looking at and talking about the tools that we like to use. Some of the things they're good for, some of the things maybe they're not so good for, pros and cons. There's a lot of tools out there in the marketing space, right? It seems like there's a dozen that crop up every month, but some of them are just really great. They stand the test of time, and so we're going to be talking about what they can do for you and how you can use them as part of your digital marketing program. Yeah, we're going to take turns here today, and I think Sarah, you can kick it off. How about you start off with the first one we have today?
All right, the first one that we want to talk about is often talked about as the king of keyword research. It does keyword research, it does competitor research, it does social media posting, social media research. It does so much. Sem Rush does. The possibilities are endless. But one of the capabilities of it that most people who use it for and know about is the element of keyword research. Not only can you look at what your competitors are ranking for, but you can also look at PPC keywords, estimated cost per clicks, keyword variations, keyword difficulties. You can see what the ranking is in the US compared to other countries. Like I said before, the possibilities are endless. So we did the one that we did here, the basic example that we use a lot for digital strategy chats is Denver pizza. Here we can see this exact keyword, keyword volume, difficulty, like everything that I was mentioning before. But one of the really important features here is that we can see keyword variations, related questions, and related keywords. And that's going to help you a lot, even just to kickstart your keyword research, right down to fine-tuning it till the end. And if it'll load here, we can see just the term Denver pizza here brings up, if it'll load, well, it's loading, I'll talk. It's going to bring up several different keyword variations, not only that competitors are using, but also that you can use to build out your site. And you may even see that when you look up this keyword and compared to your own domain, if you're trying to rank for this, you're going to see where you're ranking and some suggestions on how you can rank better for that keyword.
So Sarah, SEM Rush. So SEM, like what is that? That's like search engine marketing, right?
Search engine marketing, which is typically related to pay-per-click marketing, but SEM Rush, it does so much more than that as well.
I mean, it seems like that's one of the big nice things about SEM Rush is the fact that it covers a lot of different aspects of digital marketing. It seems, it's great that you can use it for keyword research, but it sounds like it's very comprehensive.
It's incredibly comprehensive. As you can see, even just in the left bar here, you can look into backlinking audits. You can see your on-page and technical SEO. You can look at organic research, you can look at PPC research, a lot of competitor data. You can see here there's social media. You can get suggestions on how to improve the content of your site. It's almost too versatile at times, but it is seen as one of the king tools, not only for keyword research, but for digital marketing improvement in general and research.
Yeah, almost too useful. Like, is that a bad thing? I mean, it might be a pro or con there, like does it do too much? I mean, are there any aspects of SEM Rush you wish it could do a little bit better? Like it sounds like it does a lot, but no new tool's perfect.
The regional keyword reach can be a little tricky. it'll do it. It just won't do it happily. If you want to kind of fine tune keywords to a specific area, there are very limited capabilities in what you can do with that. So yeah, if SEM Rush could do that, I'd a perfect tool, almost.
Yeah, it's getting there, right? Like, if you could kind of describe for me, Sarah, like when you're working on a new marketing project, or maybe even an existing one, like what kind of phase of the project do you kind of pull SEM Rush into your workflow? Like, how does it kind of fit into your day to day or week to week kind of thing?
When I'm working on a project, I do a huge amount of competitor research as one of the first steps. And SEM Rush not only lets me see which competitors are ranking more closely to the company I'm working with, but also some of the keywords that they're using, how they're ranking for those things, some of examples of like their PPC work or things like that. So it pretty much across the board. I use it in the beginning process, and like I mentioned earlier, when I'm fine tuning at the end, I'll revisit SEM Rush just to kind of get some of those fine-tuned details back to where, yeah, in general.
Yeah, no, I get you. That sounds pretty good. And just to clarify, we are not sponsored by SEM Rush for this program or any of the work we do. It felt, due diligence to let everybody out there know this is a very honest to goodness review of some tools that we use on our daily basis. So, hey, Tom. So, what do you think about SEM Rush?
I haven't used SEM Rush a ton, but I wanted to give a kind of quick case study for Sarah. So suppose our customer was, say, Abos Pizza. That's abospizza.com. What information could we glean from SEM Rush with regard to making them more competitive in their marketing?
All right, if it'll load, I'll show you. You could go to domain overview and type it in. I don't know if it's going to let me. So we'll just talk about it. So if Abos Pizza, I was working with that, I would first put the domain in there into the domain overview. It would then spit back some information about what keywords they are currently ranking for, some competitors that they may align with, some of the baseline PPC data about their ads. And seeing that to start off would give me a brief overview of where they are. And then from there, I could see which competitors they rank most closely with, and then research those competitors, and then find out that information about their competitors, and then relay it back to their goals. I don't think I typed in the right one.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I think that's a pretty good rundown. I like the domain kind of analysis piece there.
Yeah. Well, cool. It looks like we lost Tom. Let's keep moving now.
Tom is joining us from the great outdoors today, so he'll probably pop back in here in a moment. So that was a pretty good rundown of SEM Rush. It's a pretty great tool. We use it in a lot of work that we do. It's got a lot of capabilities. With most of these tools, before we move on to the next one, you definitely want to make sure that you're using the right tool for the right need. So how about we move on to the next one, Sarah, and keep things moving along.
Yeah.
What was the next one on the list? Google Search Console.
Google Search Console. So Google Search Console is quite a bit different from SEM Rush because it actually gives you data about where your site is already ranking on search results, on Google specifically. It doesn't give you that same competitor data like I was talking about with SEM Rush, but it gives you data about the words that you're currently ranking for and the on the search engine data. So it's very different from, like, if somebody visits your site from Google, you can see their activity on your site. This shows you the activity on search engines. So you may think, how is this good for research if I'm already ranking for that word? And it's actually incredibly useful. So as this example I have up here, you can see if we are, like these words here, Denver SEO is a very general keyword that we should be ranking for, and it feels that we are, and it looks like we are because we are on the fourth page there. However, we've gotten almost 4,000 views and no clicks so far. So that tells us that from that keyword in the last 3 months, we can try harder with it. In addition, there's some other ones like Denver website design where it's over 4,000 impressions in the last 3 months. We're on the third page there, and we've also received 0 clicks. So not only is it good for those like general keywords that we would like to be ranking for, and we are ranking for, it gives us a better view of how we're doing with those. Additionally, maybe some longer tailed keywords here, like Denver web design companies. That's another one where we wouldn't necessarily seek that word out directly, but we see that we are already ranking for it and people are already looking for it and we're already being seen for that word. So that being said, we can then wrap that into our strategy. And that's just a few basic examples of how to use those words or how to use Google Search Console to do keyword research. But it's also, it really gives you insights on what your site is already doing and how you can do those things better. And also really fine-tuned in real-time details on words that people are searching and how they're finding you with those keywords. So it's a little more convoluted than the straightforward looking up a keyword and finding details, but it's incredibly useful and we use it all the time.
It sounds like it's kind of more in the realm of keyword research of what's actually happening rather than, I'm sure a lot of people might think of keyword research like, all right, I need to research what keywords to try and get set up for my website to do SEO. But this is like, what is actually working? What could be working better already?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's also kind of when I was talking about Sem Rush and how it's not great for that regional data, this is regional data because it's very, very fine-tuned to what you're already ranking for. So in that way, it's going to help you because it's what people are actually searching and how they're actually finding you. So yeah, exactly. It's exactly what you said, David.
I was right. Hey, points for me, guys. I'm up on the scoreboard. Oh, that's great. I like Search Console, when you really want to dig into some real like hard data, and that's certainly what Denver data is all about. And so this is right up our alley. You want to see some real figures. I feel like a lot of these SEO tools out there, sometimes it's the data is more extrapolated, based on what you can see from a ranking standpoint. But right here it is Google. So let's see, Sem Rush is it's like a private company and that's their product. You can pay to get advanced features with it. Google Search Console, it doesn't really cost anything. It's a tool provided by Google, right? And Google wants people to have access to these tools to help them improve their websites and do their SEO and stuff. So that's nice. But then you have this access to this data that Google has. It's like the source of all that truth, right? Or at least Google's truth.
Exactly. So when you use those other search engine tools and you see that data that it's collecting and like this keyword has gathered this many search results in this period of time, they're getting that information in a roundabout way from this information that you see here.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. Tom, you have any questions or thoughts on Google Search Console? It's just great. 2 thumbs up.
We use it a lot, but I don't have any questions.
Yeah, we do use it a lot. If you have an SEO team working for you and they don't use it, you should be concerned. I would say that it is very instrumental. So, hey,
I second that.
So I will take it away with a next one here. So we talked about Sem Rush so far and Google Search Console. Why don't we talk about Ubersuggest, probably one of the funnier named tools that we have here today. So Ubersuggest is a tool created by Neil Patel and his team and his company. It's kind of a freemium product in the sense that you can use it for free, but it has like some premium levels to it to allow you to do more. I don't know this for sure, but I feel like Neil Patel, he's like kind of a luminary in the traffic growth and SEO space, developed a tool as kind of like a lead gen thing and then realized, this is a really great product. Tons of people using it. They'll probably pay money for it and, kept developing it. And it's just really compelling. I think, he looked at some of these other tools out there and what they did well, maybe things they didn't do so well, and came up with this. And my intuition is that the things that he might have thought that people weren't doing well with their tools is that there's many of these keyword research tools and SEO tools out there that are just super bloated, right? They got so much going on. They're really unwieldy. SEM Rush, I feel, is really great. But, as we saw, like, it does a lot. And sometimes it can be kind of a bear to get loaded and stuff like that. Whereas SEM, Ubersuggest is actually pretty slim down and slick. So, what can you do from the free standpoint? I've already got a page loaded here, but essentially you can search by either a domain name or for a website or a keyword. And then you get all kinds of information that you can work with. It's all pretty well organized in kind of a dashboard format. And, you can get some stuff right off the bat. So I just did a kind of a search here for search engine optimization, right? Like it's pretty meta, but there you go. I knew there'd be something that would show up for that. And we can find out stuff like search volume. And we talk about this stuff when we talk about extrapolated data. This is information like that comes from Google, where it's like the approximate number of searches per month, that sort of deal. SEO difficulty, pay difficulty. Some of these things aren't, hard and fast rules, but they're kind of approximations based on the stuff that these tools see. But is it going to be easy to rank for this? Is it going to be a lot of work? What's the average cost per click if you wanted to pay for an ad to use that? There's these all kind of upgrade kind of components here, right? So if you want to get more information, you're going to have to get out of the free version. So that's important to note, that there's limitations of what you can do for free. But once you're in there, you can kind of manage projects and see their progress. So a lot of these components that SEM Rush has, which I think is you're getting more in that realm of like agency level stuff, enterprise kind of level tools. Ubersuggest can kind of do some of that too, but you're gonna have to upgrade for sure and get some of that. I really like kind of the visual representation that it provides, whether it's like trends, or volume, or the difficulty, because it makes it easy for me when I'm using it to kind of get a kind of just a kind of a snap glance at stuff and see what's happening there.
I actually use Ubersuggest if I need to find keyword data very quickly. Like if I'm just like, okay, let me just find, the basics information for this keyword, I'll pull up that one rather than SEM Rush.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of the same way on that. It loads really quick. It's really streamlined if I want to get some quick information. And, the next tool we're going to look at is going to be Google Keyword Planner. I feel like a lot of the data is, with a lot of these, it's going to be the same because it's coming from Google more or less. So, I can get a quick glance. Rather, if I want to do a real deep dive, I might use that instead. I might use Google Keyword Planner. It's fairly low cost compared to some of the more comprehensive tools, like SEM Rush. But for what you get, I think it's actually a pretty good deal. But there you go. Ubersuggest. I like it. It's going to be pretty useful in a pinch. But, keep in mind that you can only use it so much for free. Daily free searches, other things are blocked out. So there you go. So I did mention Google Keyword Planner. So this is a real nice kind of counterpart tool to Google Search Console. Again, provided by Google. It's free, essentially. You kind of go through like ads.google.com to get to it, but it is a free tool. But I would say this is, compared to a lot of stuff out there, this is kind of like the source. This is where a lot of stuff is ultimately like funneling through. It's where people are getting stuff. And, what can you do with it? Well, we can kind of play around here, but essentially you can kind of plug in ideas, create plans, and then ultimately use those if you're, let's say, an agency or doing some advertising to plug into campaigns you're doing, or, maybe just use it to get some ideas on, what you should focus your content with, or do straight up keyword research, just to redo the SEO on a website. So what I almost always do is I use it a lot more for when I'm trying to figure out what might be the keywords to target. Again, do something kind of mundane and predictable that will get some results. Optimization. Did I spell that right?
It's kind of small, but it looks like it. I also use Google Keyword Planner if I need to research a long list of keywords, because it can handle things like commas in between keywords, or if you have a bunch of keywords on like in a bunch of different rows or cells in Excel, it's easy to just copy and paste into there, and it'll give you like longer lists of keywords per screen. Whereas in SEM Rush, you do kind of have to put in one at a time if you're doing individual keyword research.
Exactly. So it is great here. We can kind of see all these different types of ideas. They make it easy if you want to broaden your search. You can see things, this is where a lot of those cues are coming to some of these other tools about, competition, average monthly searches, um, bid and cost per click estimates and things like that. That's super helpful. And this is kind of a newer feature here. So the ability to refine those keywords as a tool, this is actually really nice. So I like this because a lot of times you get, depending on the type of keywords, you could have just like thousands of keywords that fit a topic and they're going to be all over the place. But there might be some variations. You talked about that a little bit earlier, Sarah, variations on the keywords. Some might be good variations that you want to explore around that topic, and some of them might be completely inappropriate. So, for instance, like if I was not at all interested in SEO as it relates to a specific brand that provides that service or something like that, maybe if I'm interested in this keyword of a search engine optimization for my own company or my own brand, I might not want to see or get information on, and especially if I'm not doing competitor research. So if I just want to find keywords that might be best to represent for my company, hey, look at this. I can see brand or non-brand, right? So if I'm not interested in brands, I can start ruling some of these out. I'm not interested in, these kinds of things for that. Get rid of them. Other brands here, like Coursera, like that's a way to probably have some courses to learn about SEO. HubSpot has its own, product for that. Moz, has products and informational resources, right? So I can start pulling those out of their results, so they're not a part of this, and I can get that more fine-tuned to what I'm interested in looking at. I think that's great. The kind of realm or the kind of categorization of the service, that's pretty nice, So this allows us to really easily start to focus, the types of keywords we're looking for, and we can build that list. That's great. I appreciate you mentioning that, Sarah, like the ability to build like that list in a spreadsheet or something, because very often, for agency work, you're building these huge lists of keywords, and they're going to be pulled into other systems or channels, right? That might be Google Ads, or that might be reporting or things like that. So that's nice how that can be managed there. Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
beta.
especially when you're kind of going into it blind and you're like, I don't even know what these keywords are supposed to be, and then you can type in SEO, search engine optimization, SEO and content, and you can put in, I think, like 10 of them, just like brain lint keywords, and then see what comes out of that. And what you might find is that there's an area of that group of keywords that you haven't even explored yet, and Google Keyword Planner tends to find those little niche areas of things and deliver you those results a lot quicker and easier, more streamlined.
Exactly. And you can, filter or fine tune the type of keyword information, the volume, the amount of searches on that based on geographical components or language, things like that. You can see the difference between mobile and other traffic. So, behavior is certainly different based on the channel and the platform that people are searching on. So it's important to be able to see that information. So that is, in a nutshell, that's Google Keyword Planner. Honestly, like out of all the two that I mentioned, like it's probably the one that I use most consistently. Like it's always a part of a project. Sometimes you just want to check. Does it have any downsides or anything? I feel like it's such a fixture in the space that it doesn't necessarily always need much love by Google. Like people are going to use it regardless, and I feel like sometimes that can be problematic.
Also, one thing to note is you can only get it if you have Google Ads running. So it is seen as a pair to running Google Ads, but a lot of people do use it for SEO. But as far as I know, there's no way to actually just pay for Keyword Planner. I think you have to have ads running to use it regardless.
Maybe just create like a free account up, so like have like an actual ads account where you don't necessarily have to have like an actual ad campaign going, but you essentially like you register for it, right? Like you're like, hey, and that's like a separate portal. So once you got that, that's where you would go and you log in and it's just available. What do you think about?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How does this relate to Google? It seems like very similar information.
How it relates to which area?
To Google Trends, which I've used to do similar keyword research in the past.
Well, Google Trends
Google.
is neat. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Sarah. You take this. Yeah.
Well, Google Trends was actually on our list to possibly discuss. We scaled it back a little bit, but Google Trends is cool because it shows trends that are happening within Google. So we're not going to bring it up just because we don't want to like go down that direction in this chat. We'll bring it up in a future one. But Google Trends shows you very real-time data, and it's not as much keyword research focused as it is keyword concept focused, or just concept focused in general. So if you type in something like the election was a good example.
Oh, we lost Sarah. Yeah, what I like about Google Trends is that it can show kind of interest in that over time, and how that changes. I remember like doing kind of a look at a topic like digital transformation. That's something we've talked about here on the show. And so digital transformation is not like a topic that's been around there forever, right? And so we see this kind of trend as like, there's growing interest in that. But then as like technologies or certain types of philosophies and technology or how to do SEO website changes and becomes out of vogue and it's not really popular anymore, then you see it trail down. I think that's a really great tool to see, is like, is this a thing that people are actually currently like, is it in the zeitgeist, right? Is it something that's in the public sphere?
Right, and identify how people are thinking about something now versus maybe in the past, how they're describing a service or a need.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Oh yeah, cool.
I apologize. I'm not sure when my internet went out there.
That's okay. You can kind of wrap up your thoughts on Google Trends then.
I don't even know when it ended. So I don't know. I think you guys covered it. We can move on.
It's neat. We like Google Trends too.
It is.
We should probably talk about it on a future show.
That's what I said. Did it stick out before I said that?
Well, we're going to move on to the last one on our list is Spyfu. So, Tom, you use Spyfu quite a bit, don't you?
I do. It's kind of my go-to for quick research, competitor research, and current performance research.
So would you say Spyfu is kind of in the realm of like a tool like Sem Rush, and for what it can do and its capabilities? Here we go. We got Spyfu up here. What? Tell us a little bit more about what you like using it for, like how it helps you kind of do what kind of research you're doing.
Yeah, if you want to run it on the overview tab, if you can, and if it's difficult to do that right now, I can describe. Typically, what I'm looking at is a general overview of what are their trends for SEO investment and pay-per-click investment over time, what keywords are they aligned with, and how has that changed over time. So it gives you a pretty good view at a glance of the screen you were just on. It gives you a sense for what marketing. Okay. Yep. Gives you a good sense for what marketing things they're doing. So you can see that in this case here, they're doing very little paid advertising, have not done any recently, and most of what they do is organic. So that's really informative, and certainly more informative if they were doing pay-per-click as well.
I have one paid keyword. That's interesting. What it is.
One that it doesn't list, which is odd, and has no budget. Which makes me think they don't have any paid keywords.
They do have a paid keyword. They have one.
There you have it. Interesting.
Not the one I was expecting.
No, it seems like an afterthought based on the data there. And the other thing that's useful for is getting a sense for the value of the organic customers already get. They can get a sense for where they're at and what site's worth.
When you say site's worth, that's an interesting concept. We've talked about that on previous webcasts here with the digital strategy chat. So are you kind of talking about, if let's say your website as an asset even?
Absolutely, and I think if you go back to the prior screen and take a look at the SEO data and look at the keywords they rank for, there should be a column there that talks about click value, estimated click value, I believe. And hopefully I'm not thinking of a
This
different
screen here, Tom, or this one here?
The screen that we were on right there. And if you were to go to the keywords, this is the competitor screen. I'm not sure if this is the right screen, but in essence, you could get a list of SEO keywords that rank for the site, and it will tell you based on the volume that they have and the prices that somebody would pay for pay-per-click for those same keywords, how much value they have in their organic marketing. Meaning how much they would pay if they had to pay for that same traffic.
It's always nice getting something for free, though we know very well that even if you don't have to pay for that traffic through cost per click programs like AdWords or Google Ads, it still had a cost to it and an investment, right? You invested in that effort to work on the SEO over time and get it really well situated, which really speaks to, that overall kind of asset value to website. I mean, you put all the investment into it, that means it's worth a lot.
Absolutely. And Sarah, if you click on, say, the SEO tab, SEO research tab, the primary screen for this same search, you should see a listing of keywords if you scroll down a little bit, and those keywords should tell you the volume or the value. It does not. Keyword disclosures. Oh, here we go. Organic keywords. Most valuable was a good one.
If it loads.
Right.
This one here, this was the one I have open here, Tom.
I'm not sure. I'm looking for the number I usually see, but in essence, it's a good tool for seeing how much value you have in current clicks.
Tom, is there anything like Spyfu may not be well suited for, or do you say it's like pretty well rounded?
It's not well rounded at all. It's primarily useful for it's really useful for gleaning data when you don't have access to the customer's analytics, which is always the case with competitors. But it's also useful for getting a quick view of their spend, of their pay-per-click spend, if we don't have access to their actual account.
Mm-hmm. And of course, this is another type of tool where, it's not like it's coming straight from Google. So it's like a private company. They have this product. There's money to be paid to get access probably to some of the most advanced features. But Spyfu does kind of have like a free tier to it, right? Where you can do a little bit of research without having to necessarily pay for anything, which is nice of them to do that.
Yeah, and they let you do basically everything that you would want to do. It's just limited at a certain capacity.
Mm-hmm. So say if you're trying to run an agency or for a bunch of clients or something like that, you're really not going to get a ton of things done or have a ton of data you can keep track of without paying some money. But if you're just kind of like doing a one-off thing, you got a little, one website maybe you're working with, you can do some quick research.
Absolutely, and the free version is very useful, but we pay for it because it allows us to look at trends over time. So we can take a customer and catalog their competitors and keywords, and then look at how those change.
It's also got a fun name, Spyfu, right? I mean, I guess that kind of speaks to like the idea that you're kind of snooping, you're kind of spying a little bit on what competitors are doing and get a sense for how well is their SEO and pay-per-click stuff potentially working? What are they investing? A little corporate espionage, corporate.
Absolutely, yeah. Google doesn't like to tell you what your competitor's paying.
Yeah.
There's a way to.
The thing that I mainly use Spyfu for is when I'm looking at competitor PPC data, because it's really the only place where you can get multiple levels of data about someone else's pay-per-click. So that's usually what I use Spyfu for.
Yeah, it's where we get the tricks, the competitors to look at to see the sneaky techniques that maybe we haven't thought of.
Mm-hmm.
It can be really useful for finding out the top competitors for a specific keyword, which you can find with other keyword tools, but this one's a little more straightforward with if you have a very specific keyword, especially if it's a regional keyword, finding out like this screen here, actually top organic competitors will tell you who's ranking for that word or who's ranking closely to whoever you're looking up. I think we're doing a domain here, so these would be the closest competitors. But if you put a keyword in there also, it's going to show you the top competitors for that specific keyword, which is really cool to see.
That's great stuff. So we'll probably be wrapping this in a moment. We're getting close to that time. Any kind of closing thoughts or opinions on Spyfu? I think we got it covered. So thank you everybody for tuning in. So we're going to post links to all these different tools and how you can get to them. Remember, we're not being sponsored by any of these, so we just love to share great resources to our audience and people also out there doing SEO and digital marketing work. So be sure to check out for those resources on our website at denverdata.com. And be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel or wherever you're following this on social media so that you get updates about the next webcast. We do these every Friday, 11:30 Mountain Standard Time. It's always a new topic, always great information. So thank you again, everybody joining us, and we will see you next time.